I've been thrown all kinds of curveballs this week. Hi there! Welcome to Yarns and Yarns episode 24.2. My name is Shay McIntosh Ford and I live in Tulsa with my husband, our 2 boys, and our little puppy. This is a show about yarns as in fibers and yarns as in stories, and today is all about the stories. I will review what I've read this week, then read a snippet of my own work, and after that I will go into my vlog of writing. Or not. All books and anything I can link to will be down below in the description box. If you'd like to leave a comment, I would love to read and respond. Please let me know how you like this show. If there's anything you would rather see, I would love some suggestions on other books to read, like as if my TBR pile isn't already tall enough. Before I get into my reviews, it's time for the Shakespearean insults. I'm going to try not to blow this out too much. So this is from Monday, January 10th. My favorite one this week comes from The Tempest. A fish. He smells like a fish. A very ancient and fish-like smell. Okay. I had a hard time choosing this week. There are some really good ones in regards to some certain politicians that I don't like, but I'm not going to go there right now.
I might go there later.
As for my reviews, I thought I was going to have The Conductors finished by today. I'm sorry, I'm just not into it. I think I might end up putting this on the DNF pile. It's not that it's badly written, it's probably for some people, but I just don't think it's for me. And I had too many other books that I need to read right now. One book that I've sort of read, I ended up skipping around. I needed to read it because I had a doctor's appointment and my doctor is 2 hours away in Oklahoma City, so I read a different book. I should have been reading The Conductors, but I didn't feel like reading it. I ended up reading Alice in Wonderland. I'll get into that in a minute. My doctor is a keto-friendly doctor. We've been discussing my colitis and the fact that I've been treating it with the carnivore diet. I'm still having some issues with stress, and I'm not going to go into that because it's all on the other playlist, but he recommended that I try fasting for a little bit longer. I can go a good 18-20 hours without eating, but I haven't really done any more extended fasting from that. He thought that maybe it would help kind of settle my gut and kind of reset it a little bit. I've been reading The Complete Guide to Fasting by Dr. Jason Fung. This book was published in 2018. It's definitely a good book. If you're interested at all in fasting and trying to get healthier, as he says, fasting is not about starving yourself or being anorexic or anything like that. That's not what it's about. You are in control. It's about choosing whether or not to eat for health reasons or religious reasons even. For me, it's health, and for most people, it will be for health. I didn't read most of this book. I only read parts of it because most of this book deals with fasting to help control or cure metabolic syndromes such as type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure, that sort of thing. I don't have those problems. I just needed to know how to fast for me. There isn't a whole lot in here for me. There's a little bit, and I've learned that I probably shouldn't do extended fasting. 3 days or more is probably not good for someone like me. I might go for 2 days and see how I do. I also wanted to know about drinking bone broth because I make my own bone broth. There's usually a layer of fat on top, and I know that would break a fast. It's still recommended. It's not like a true fast. A true fast would be just water and salt. For someone like me, I think I do need the bone broth because of the nutrients and the electrolytes in it. So I'm gonna have to filter out the fat and some of the protein bits that fall in when I ladle it out of the pot. It's a good read. He does a very good job. He actually has some YouTube videos and he has a whole website where if you're having some health issues and you think fasting might work for you, I recommend reading this book and going on his website. Maybe that would help you. I just have a different situation and he helps to address my situation, but it's extremely minimal, so I didn't read all the book because it doesn't apply. I also didn't read it all because I had to borrow the Kindle text version, and there's no audio version available that I know of. So while I went to my doctor's appointment, because it was a 4-hour drive, I decided I wanted to read Alice in Wonderland. The version I have is narrated by Jim Dale, and it did not disappoint. I've read it before. I love that story. It's just fun, nonsensical creativity at its best. And I just love the way Jim Dale narrates things. He does such a, I mean, I can't stop gushing over the way he reads. He does such a good job. It carried me all the way there and all the way back. I did not speed it up. I just had fun listening to it. You know, I need to search and see if he did Through the Looking Glass. My library doesn't have it. It doesn't have the Through the Looking Glass at all. I have a feeling I'm going to end up listening to that one off of LibriVox. But I do want to read it because, of course, after I came back from my doctor's appointment that night, I felt like watching the movie with Johnny Depp. That was such a fun movie. I want to read Through the Looking Glass so that I can watch the next movie. I've already read the book and I've already seen the movie. It's just been a while. That'll be fun. So now for a snippet of my own work. And I'm going to do something a little different today. You will see why I'm doing this during the vlog. I am going to read the blurb for The Stone of Kings and a little excerpt from it. The Stone of Kings is one of my own books, which is linked down below if you'd like to check that out. It is historical fantasy, and it takes place in Ireland in 2 different time periods. 12-year-old Arden is hopelessly distracted because he wants to meet a real fairy. But when he gets his hands on a mysterious red book loaded with fairy spells and accidentally sends himself 300 years into Ireland's future, he soon learns that there are more important things on which to focus his attention. Throw in some immortal druids, fun storytelling, a touch of forbidden romance, along with the music and antics of legendary Irish harper Turlough O'Carolan, and you'll become swept up in a very real Irish mythological adventure. This excerpt comes from toward the beginning of the book. Turlough has come to visit Brezel. Turlough was a real person. He was an Irish harpist, and he was well known all over the country for his music, but he was blind, and he would have a guide to help him around the country. In this particular part of my story, his guide's name happens to be Thomas. I made Thomas up. Brezel is Arden's guardian. Arden is an orphan, and Brezel is raising him. And they live in a cottage out in the country in Ireland. In this scene, Brezel and Turlough are taking a walk outside, and it's only Thomas and Arden. I tried recording this a minute ago and completely forgot that there was the Irish language in it, so I had to stop and figure out how to pronounce it. And I'm probably going to butcher it, but I'm going to give it a try. And I'm going to try my Irish accent. I don't know how accurate that is either. Bear with me. Abandoning his work, as he was so prone to do when he got excited about something, Arden led Thomas into the library, but not before doing the forbidden. He opened its closed door. Once inside the room, both of them forgot about looking for a storybook. On Brezel's hand-carved writing desk was his curious little red book. The old scholar must have been distracted by the sight of his musician friend nearing the cottage from the library window and neglected to hide the book as usual. Its pages lay open, and unmistakable magic hovered over the leaves. They heard light, random notes, like the sound of the tiniest of wind chimes, played by a faint breeze. As they gaped, they noticed each tinkling sound corresponded with a tiny point of light, which would burst and disappear above the book. Thomas breathed out a gasp of surprise. "Who is this Brezel fellow, anyway?" Arden could not answer. He began to wonder the same thing. His pulse quickened as he neared the book. "What are you doing?" Thomas dropped his voice to a whisper as he grabbed onto the boy's shoulder. The color in his face had drained away. "I merely want to read it," Arden said. He shrugged away Thomas's hand. "I do not think we should go near it." But Arden continued nearing. Despite his own warnings, Thomas followed closely behind. Arden picked up the book and began to turn the pages. He expected to hear more sounds and see the lights dance quicker, but instead these features decreased until the pages settled again. "What does it say?" whispered Thomas. "Some is in Irish and some in English." Arden's gaze, as expected, went for the Irish text. He read aloud, Solo sarga sari betu lerbno mianoch mo lova kun sirinashi. Right away, the tinkling noise intensified, as did the lights. But what shocked Arden was the book lifted from his fingers and hovered in front of him. Saints be blessed, said Thomas, and he let out a burst of high-pitched laughter. They both stared in awe a moment, until Arden saw Brezel and Turlo advancing toward the house from their walk in the garden. No, he gasped. His heart hammered at the trouble he would be in if Brezel found them out. Does it say how to reverse it? Asked Thomas, his voice raised in pitch. Arden's gaze scanned the pages, desperate to avoid punishment, but none of the lines written in Irish appeared to fit the need. When Arden reached for the book to try another page, it shied away from him. Frantic, he read aloud one of the English lines without comprehending the meaning. A need I have to mend a mistake, a new time please for lives are at stake. Nothing happened. This sounds like the right one, said Thomas. Perhaps you should say it in Irish. Arden could not find the Irish counterpart, and so struggled a moment with the translation, then said, Is moragum a certu botun letohoil a aum nu a sera o noterer. The book filled the room with such a bright light, Arden could see nothing else. And now it's time for the vlog. I did get some writing done today. Not my 2,000 words, maybe about 1,000, but I did do lots of research. One of the things I've been doing is reading more of this book, and I'm glad that I own it because there's so much information in here that I'm going to want to know when I'm ready to publish. I mean, I've published before with Clean Reads, but I don't know yet if these books are going to be accepted by Clean Reads. Like, I don't know that it's going to fit their submission standards. I'm exploring all options at this point, but I've gotten about that much read, so that's the cover, so more than half. The puppy, she's smelling something. Scout is scouting. I have also been researching more Cherokee mythology so that I have subject matter for books 2 and 3. Like, I know where I want my characters to go, but I need the mythology to provide the catalyst for those books. It's gonna be different because I've been doing really well with plotting my books. I think I need to figure out how to plot the series now, but I'm looking at 3. I think I know what to do. But it means more reading, so I put more books on hold at the library, and unfortunately, they're not audiobooks, they're physical books. I'm a little slower at reading physical books. Audiobooks are nice because you can speed up the narration, but that is what I did today. I was going to finish typing out what I had handwritten. I actually tried dictation today, and it wasn't working. It wouldn't listen to me properly. I spent a lot of time going back and fixing misheard words. There was a really funny one in there that I posted to Instagram if you want to check out my Instagram. It was slower doing the dictation than it is to physically type it up. I think that's what I'm gonna wind up doing a lot this weekend, is just when I'm not writing, like physically writing, I'll be typing things up. If people are in the way, like in the kitchen bothering me or just talking around me, I'll just type. That way I don't have to focus too hard on it and I can get it done. So I got some writing done on Saturday and I finished typing up all my words. I had totally planned on, today is Monday, and I didn't bother trying to write yesterday because, you know, everyone's home and it's like winter break again. I thought, okay, well, I'll just make sure I get all my words out this week because the boys are going back to school and Leo's gonna be working. And then this morning I woke William up for school and he said, Mom, my throat is really sore. I feel like I'm repeating last week. This is a reread of a bad book. And actually the reread got a little worse. I dropped Charlie off at school and I had William in the car with me. I made him wear his mask while he was in the car with us. We went to the testing center again, the one I showed you last week with a really crazy long line. It was even longer. If we had tried to wait in that line, we would still be there right now. Even though we got there at 9:30, we would have waited on that line for at least 7 hours. I decided not to do that because Javi found out that Verizon, which he works for Verizon, He found out that Verizon will give employees at-home tests for themselves and their families, so he ordered them and they'll be here tomorrow. And based on how long it took us to get the results from when we waited online last week, it would be the same amount of time anyway, so at least we're not waiting online. I totally expected that line to be shorter today because, you know, last week it was the holidays and everybody was exposed at Christmas and they needed test results to go back to work, you know, that sort of thing. I just didn't expect that this time around. It was insane. I am going to be working on editing videos and reading and knitting. I'm not going to try to write today because I still am flaring from stress. I hate that because that in itself is stressful. So after that day, which was actually several days ago, at the end of that day, I got a phone call from the school. The whole school went to remote learning because there aren't enough staff in the classrooms.
For the rest of the week.
I decided if I felt like knitting, I would knit. If I felt like writing, I would write. If I felt like reading, I would read. A lot of knitting and reading happened. Not any writing. My grand total at the moment on my current work in progress is 61,450 words, which is kind of pitiful. After writing 2,000 words a day in November, I was really expecting a little farther along. I'll get there. This won't last forever. We just need better politicians in office. They actually had the gall to criticize the school districts for closing, claiming that they were afraid of the virus. That had nothing to do with fear.
It was there wasn't enough teachers.
If they want the schools to stay open, which is what we all want, then they need to send us some substitute teachers or come down and do it themselves and actually get in the classroom, see how it feels. I'm not going to get stressed out because that'll just make my symptoms worse. But I did have a new development this week. My publisher, Clean Reads, is suspending operations for now and reverting rights back to the authors. They're not officially closing because she has her own books that she wants to keep out, but she's not publishing anything else. I gotta figure out what to do. I have been reading more of this one. I am in the last section. This is the section on marketing. So I got, you know, most of the middle part done. This is not a craft book. It does talk about how you need to write good books. Hoping I'm doing that, but it's more on how to get your books out there to sell and be successful at it, because I want to try to make a living out of this, right? So I'm almost done reading that, and now I have a huge incentive to finish reading this and implement, because I now have books that I have to figure out what to do with. So if you've been meaning to buy any of my books, now's the time to do it. I don't know when they're going to be back up. I don't know that I'm actually even going to put harp lessons back up at all. It's a sweet romance, not a historical fiction. It doesn't fit my brand. I am a historical fiction writer. After I wrote The Stone of Kings, I found what I wanted to write. I like historical fiction and historical fantasy, and harp lessons doesn't fit. If you're interested in sweet romance, now's the time to buy it. I will get The Stone of Kings back up. I just don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know when it's coming down either, so I wouldn't wait too long. And that's all I have for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you get to read all the books and write all the words. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that little bell. I will see you next time. Bye. It's time for you got a leaf stuck to your face. You have a leaf stuck in your face. Can I get this leaf off your face? Yeah, you got a leaf stuck to your face. Can I get the leaf off your face? You're not gonna let me? She wants a treat. Her look was a real person.